Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this interview with Lydie and Hazal, who are studying medicine at Barts. You might recognize them from their YouTube channel, Journey2Med, where they've documented their entry into medicine and what it's like studying medicine at university. Before we get started, do make sure that you are subscribed to the Snap Revise YouTube channel and remember to ring the bell so that you get all the updates whenever we release a new video. Here's the interview. Hey guys, how are you?
Well, fine, thank you.
We're good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Let's just start with a bit of an intro to you guys, with starting off with what you studied at A-levels, what you're studying and where you're studying now, and then yeah, let's just take it from there.
So I studied at a state school for GCSEs and a grammar school for sixth form, and I studied AS Physics, A-level French, Biology, and Maths as well.
Yeah, and same. So I went to a state school for secondary school, and then we actually went to the same grammar school. And then I studied A-level Biology, Chemistry, Maths, Further Maths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want our grades as well? Or?
No, grades is fine. And you're both now studying medicine at Barts, that's right?
Yeah,
so Barts in
medicine
London.
at Barts in London.
Okay. And there might not be a typical day in the life of a med student, but is there a typical day in the life? Like, what does your daily structure look like when you're studying medicine?
Not really. There isn't really a set day in the life. So like Monday to Friday is quite varied because of the different types of things we need to do. But I can give like a weekly overview. So we have like 7 to 8 lectures, sometimes 9, 10 in a week. And then we also have anatomy sessions. So pre-COVID, this was in a lab where we had pro sections, but now we just obviously do everything online. We also have some physiology sessions, histology sessions, GP placements. Am I missing anything? PBL sessions as well.
Yeah, problem-based learning and also clinical skills. But if we had to narrow this down to a day, I would say, so you get up in the morning and you have to get to university for about 8:45. The lectures, of course, start at 9, but I commute, so you never know how long it's going to take before lectures really start. Obviously, at the moment, lectures aren't physical, but this is what I would have done in first year. So we might have lectures from 9 to 11, and then maybe a 1-hour break. And usually for me, I might have to walk to a different campus to have an anatomy session, another 30-minute break before I have a physiology session.
Yeah.
And these are in labs, in small groups. And then after that, that's normally my day finished. In other days, it varies as well. You might have a problem-based learning scenario to do in the morning with your group. And then after that, immediately you have to go to the lecture halls where you have a few lectures, you have a 1-hour gap in between, and then you have more lectures after that. And yeah, that's a rough day.
Yeah, but you can't really like say one day because every day is different.
Yeah, I think that keeps it nice and exciting in our course. That's how it is, especially.
Yeah, and every day seems pretty full on as well. That's a lot. In a week, yeah. What was it about? Oh, go on.
Oh, I would say when we have GP placements at a GP, it's less full on, it's more chill because you're going to one location, you're not moving up and down.
Definitely.
One location, only 6 or 7 of you, and it's usually set tasks you have to do, so it's pretty straightforward. So those are usually the more chill days that I definitely prefer.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was it about the course at Barts in particular that drew you guys to choose that one to go study at?
So it's kind of what we've just mentioned. The course is really varied. So at other medical schools, especially for the first 2 years, it's just mainly lectures. So they might be able to give like a typical day where it's just, I don't know, 4 lectures and then like a tutorial session, for example. But at Barts, it keeps it interesting. There's loads of different things that make you get up, go to different campuses, do different things. And it just kind of means you don't really get bored of your course, which is really important, especially when studying something like medicine, which is really full on and full of content. So keeping it interesting and teaching us the content we need to know in different ways kind of helps us get through it and helps us learn everything we need to know.
Yeah, and I'll say on top of the variety, it's also the early patient contact. So I know there are some medical schools you don't actually get to meet patients until like 3rd, 4th year.
Yeah.
And I think it's important in medicine to learn the scientific part of things, but to also learn the holistic side of things, where you actually get to see the patient and how the disease affects them and how it affects their day-to-day life. Because when you're able to pair it with a person, you remember it more, and it makes it more it makes it more of a genuine experience rather than just learning from a textbook. When you learn from a textbook, you feel like you're learning stats and figures. When you learn from a person, you understand, oh, this is actually a person I'm dealing with, it's an actual human being, and this disease is really affecting their lives. So I really like the early patient contact. You know, it comes with a sense of generosity to me.
Yeah.
Did you guys both know that you always wanted to study medicine, and is that something you've kind of focused on kind of your whole school lives?
I wouldn't say whole school life, but like let's say from like GCSEs onwards. So I always said like growing up, oh, I want to be a doctor. But when I, solidified that and decided, yes, I actually want to study medicine, was kind of in year 12 when I had done some work experience, gone to some medical events and medical conferences, and was like, yes, I can see myself in their position, and that's what I want to do. But yeah, I wouldn't say from like year 5 or year 4. It wasn't that early on.
Yeah, same. I was stuck between business and medicine. I really liked business, but I also liked sciences, human biology, and I liked talking to people, and I could see myself communicating in that sense as a doctor. So it was really, I was bouncing between both, but I made sure that any decision I made was informed. So I looked into business, I looked into medicine, and my heart was just more set on medicine, and I could see myself doing that rather than doing business. And one thing I like about medicine is you don't just have to be a doctor. You can be a lecturer, you can do business within medicine. So I like the fact that in the future I can hopefully pair the two.
And especially even like when you're a doctor, you can go into surgery, and there's like hundreds of thousands of different, not thousands, but hundreds of different specialities. So again, I don't think you're going to get bored. There's always going to be stuff that you can do, even research. There's always stuff that you can do with a degree, which I really like.
And how has it kind of lived up to those expectations so far? Has it matched what you kind of expected it to be?
Oh, that's a really good question. If I'm going to be honest, I think I underestimated the workload in first year medicine. I just expected it to be less because older students would always say medicine is easier than A-levels. So I underestimated it a lot. And one thing I learned the harsh way was there is a lot of content. Medicine isn't hard in the sense that a lot of the work is difficult to understand. No, some of it is easy to understand, but it's definitely the volume of work you have to do in a given period of time that can be quite a lot. So in that sense, it hasn't, it really shocked me. And an area where it did live up to my expectations, I would say, is I do enjoy what I'm learning. I do enjoy the patient contact. I do enjoy the opportunities that medicine has opened up for me. So that is one sense that it has reached my expectations.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think something that's really good and kind of restores your faith in like the degree is the patient contact, because sometimes you go weeks and it's just like, oh, lectures, this, that, like you get bored, and then you go into a GP or a hospital and you're like, oh, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I want to continue on with the degree. So I guess in that sense, I underestimated how useful and beneficial the clinical placements were going to be for me.
Okay. And so is that the main difference, would you say, between A-levels and university, is just the volume of workload, or are there other differences that you might see there as well?
There are differences. The independence. The independence that you're given at medical school is crazy. I feel like at A-levels, I was like, oh my God, we have to be independent. But I didn't know independence until I got to medical school. Like, you are given a timetable and that's it. You decide if you're going to go to lectures, if you're going to stay on top of your work, if you're going to hand in certain things before the deadline. It's all up to you. So there's a greater burden on your shoulder, a greater responsibility, which of course makes sense. You're at a high level of education, but the independence it's like no other. Like you're not spoon-fed anything. At A-levels, you get resources, your teachers sit there, and like if you don't understand something on a slide, your teacher will sit down and explain it to you. You don't get that at uni. The lecture will continue regardless, and you kind of have to catch up in your own time. But I guess you can still ask the lecturer questions, of course, even during the lecture. Like, that's my choice. And also at the end.
That's true, but I think it's still different to like sitting down with a teacher and going through the whole lesson. But yeah, and the main thing is the volume of content, though, I would say.
Yeah, and I was also going to add as well, a difference between A-levels and medical school. You didn't have a specification. So A-levels, you kind of had a framework that you was working with, a checklist. But with medicine, it's a bit, you never know how much you have to know and what exactly you need to know from the lecture slides. There's a lot of ambiguity, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And one more thing actually is, I think A-level exams are a bit more like harder in the sense that the pass rate at medical school, so for us for first year it was 50%, so you don't have to be so harsh on yourself to get that top percentage, whereas for example A-level chemistry was like 88% for an A star or something like that. So it does put a lot of pressure on yourself to, you know, get every single mark and get all those to get the highest percentage. But with medical school it's just usually pass or fail, so it kind of takes that burden of, I don't want to just pass, I want to get an A star. Like, you don't really have that at medical school, which I prefer because it puts less stress on me when I'm studying and also when I'm revising for my exams.
In terms of the medicine application process, did you guys go to a lot of open days? And then what is it like? Are there interviews involved, or is it mostly just an application?
I think starting right at the beginning, the first thing is you, after deciding you want to do medicine, you have to sit an aptitude test. This could be the BMAT or the UCAT, depending on what university you're applying to. And the UCAT usually takes place over summer, and the BMAT, there are different dates for it. I think there's 2 separate dates.
Yeah, so it's in September or October.
Yeah, subject to change depending on the year, of course. And then after that, you have to write a personal statement that is due on October 15th. So this, of course, might change, might not, but that is the UCAS deadline for this year. And the personal statement, you kind of have to speak about yourself. It changes depending on where you're applying to, but the main thing is getting across why you want to do medicine, getting across what experience you've done to show that you want to do medicine, your motivation, your understanding of a realistic career into medicine, and other components. And after your personal statement is submitted and sent off to your universities, if they choose, they can invite you into an interview, and these interviews take place in the form of a panel MMI, and MMI is multiple mini interviews. Multiple mini interviews, so 2 different formats. And then from your interviews, that's when they decide if they would like to offer you a conditional offer to study medicine, and then you need to secure the grades and you should be starting medicine in autumn. So that's a rough
that's a very vague like explanation of how it goes, but so as you can see, it is quite different to like a normal university application, and that's why it can be quite tiring and just, you know, very long to, you know, do this and now you have to do this and now you have to do this. So even the medical application in itself does take a lot of effort, and even getting through that should like be something that you you know, you celebrate and congratulate yourself on, because it is not easy. And even the personal statement is quite different to a normal personal statement. You have to be very reflective and reflect on the work experiences you have done, whether that be in a hospital, you know, clinical setting, or in a non-clinical setting, and reflect how that's going to help you in your studies, but also as a doctor in the future. So the personal statement is different, you know, you have to sit entrance exams, you have interviews, so it is quite a lot different to normal university application.
And one thing is, during the medical application process, it comes with a big battle with your mental health as well. You can literally gain anxiety over it, you can stress out over it, because you are pairing it with your studies. A-levels is really important in helping you get into medicine, so it can be quite stressful. That's why we try so hard, especially for our YouTube channel, just to kind of encourage people, it's okay, take it easy, don't stress out too much, because it is a lot. It can really stress you out, it can really give you a lot of anxiety as well, especially since aspiring medics, you have an earlier deadline, you have interviews, you have all these components that your other friends might not have. And when you feel like you're going through something by yourself, it can actually make the situation seem worse. It can make it seem like a bigger deal than it actually is. So it can be quite stressful. So I think it's important that people should be mindful of that and just take it easy. It doesn't have to be as stressful as you make it.
100%.
And for some of the people who might not know watching this video, you guys run a really excellent YouTube channel that is there to give tips to people wanting to study medicine and has documented your journey there. Why did you guys decide to set that up? And then how have you managed to balance your time with that commitment and your studies as well?
That's an amazing question.
So one of the main reasons was, obviously we just spoke about how long the application process is. We felt that there was a lot of information you had to know about the application process, but you know, it wasn't all in one place. You had to go to this event and then go on this website and, you know, speak to this person. And we kind of wanted to put all the resources on one place, on one platform, and kind of answer whatever question you may have about the application process. and make it a bit easier for the upcoming cohort to go through the process that we went through.
And on top of that as well, I feel like if you go and you look at the medical students on YouTube, a lot of the universities like Cambridge or King's, there's barely any for Barts in London. So sometimes that personalised advice on a specific medical school is good. So we kind of wanted to fill in that gap in the market. And on top of that as well, for me personally, it was about representation too. I feel like a lot of medical students still have imposter syndrome, so it was important for us to almost redefine what a medical student is, to be on YouTube, to speak with our accents, with slight slang here and there, as working class girls, and make it clear that, you know what, we exist, we go to medical school as well. Medical school isn't just restricted to this stereotype that people have what medical students should be like. So, and I feel like by being our true authentic selves on YouTube, it has actually motivated others to feel less of that imposter syndrome when they go to medical school, and to understand that medical students come in different shapes and sizes, in different colours and appearances. So that's one key message that we try to get across.
It's like, we did it so you can do it too, basically.
You don't need to go to a private school and be able to afford all these expensive courses you're seeing online. So that's one of the main things.
So what has that also taught you guys? Like, what have you learned from doing your YouTube channel that you wouldn't have learned otherwise?
I honestly feel like the YouTube channel has been such a blessing in disguise. Like, I've learned so much about myself. It's helped me work on so many skills, such as organization, time management, you know, filming, editing, even communication. Like, I used to be quite shy, but now I'm, you know, confident enough to film myself and put it on the internet for the whole world to see. So I've definitely come a long way with that. But yeah, I think it's been so good. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it's helped me my confidence as well. It's helped me almost with self-love too, because I've learned to just embrace myself fully. I think when I first started my YouTube channel, I really diluted my personality because I was scared to come across like an atypical medical student. But over time I realized people like my authenticity, so it really encouraged me to be myself and to encourage others to be themselves as well. You asked another question we didn't answer about how we balance it. So we make sure, because obviously we're best friends as well, so we have to balance it with university and we have to balance it with our friendship. So we make sure that university work always comes first. We know our priorities. University work needs to be done before we sort out, sorry for the background noise, before we sort out Journey2Med things, before we sit down and talk about things coming up. We make sure that we keep a planner where we have all our commitments in one place, so that we never double book by accident. And I think knowing our priorities are important. And as being friends as well, for example, we vlog quite a bit, so we might save certain days for vlogging, and we might save other days for just sitting down, having a genuine chit chat and just doing something fun as friends. And I guess not losing that friendship and not forgetting that we do need to get a degree has been quite sustainable for us.
Literally.
And just to finish things off, just lastly, if you could give someone studying GCSEs or A-levels just some general tips and advice going forward for them that you think were useful for you.
I think, like, what I would tell my GCSE self and A-level self just would be just to calm down a bit. Like, I used to stress so much when sometimes it was understandable, but other times, like, I just didn't need to stress as much as I did for both GCSEs and A-levels. Of course, you know, I understand it is a really, you know, high intensity period, but I could have definitely made my life a lot easier by just, you know, calming down, taking each day as it comes, and kind of trusting in myself and in my ability, because I had a lot of self-doubt. I used to think, oh, but, you know, what if I didn't get this offer? What if this interview didn't go well? What if I didn't get this grade? And if I just, you know, believed in myself and trusted in my ability, I think my whole application process would have been easier, and my GCSE period would have been easier as well. So if you're out there and you're like me, stress a lot, I know it's easier said than done, trust me, but just take a breather, take a day off if you need to, and things will go well if you work hard for it.
Yeah, and just to add on top of that as well, everything happens for a reason. So if you're someone, you're panicking a lot, you're scared, you're not going to get into medicine the first time. There are people who've got into medicine the second try, they've taken a gap year and it was actually more beneficial. You've done another degree and it was actually more beneficial. So just trust in the process and trust in yourself. Everything will be fine. Regardless of what happens, you're going to be okay. You're going to end up exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I think that was really useful, really interesting. And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, your YouTube channel. We're a big fan of it. So yeah, good luck with you guys going forwards.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.